No, Martin, I'm really pleased that you're a part of our organization. In fact, everybody at Life Success Production is happy to have you with us. And I know as you start sharing this information with the folks you're dealing with, they're going to be happy that you're with us. As Martin starts to go through this brochure, I want you to pay very close attention to what he has to say.
Well, I want to thank you for having us here and sharing this information with you. My company, Life Success Productions, has been going for 45 years. We started back around 1968. And we work all over the world, 90-some countries now. And you know, just a little while ago, we did a survey of quite a few thousand people, and we found 92% of the people that responded wanted more. Now, they wanted more of different things. Some just wanted more, and they weren't quite sure what they wanted more on. But they wanted greater quality of life. Some wanted more money, and some wanted their business to do better, but they wanted more than they had. Now, there's a basic law of life that states create or disintegrate. If we're not moving ahead, we must be going back. I want to share something with you. In 1961, I was given this book. It's Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. This book is literally falling apart. I have been reading this book now for over 50 years. Now, when I picked the book up, I had virtually no formal education. I had 2 months high school. I had a poor work record. It was just one job after another. I was actually sitting in a fire hall in a suburb of Toronto when I picked that book up. And the man that gave it to me, he said, if you do exactly what this author says, everything in your life will improve. You will have more of whatever you want. Now, the man that wrote this book was mentored or coached at that time by the wealthiest man in the world. Now, I'm going back to 1908. Andrew Carnegie was a poor Scotch boy that went to America from Scotland. He had nothing, but when he died, he was the wealthiest man in the world. He spent half his life earning money and the other half giving it away. The great Carnegie libraries were part of what he left. And he introduced Napoleon Hill to 500 of the world's most successful individuals, men and women, all over the world. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Woodrow Wilson, like there was presidents of the United States and heads of large organizations. And he picked their brains and he found there was a golden thread running through their life. Now, you know, I don't know why, but I did exactly what the man suggested. And I did exactly what this book said. Do you know, I went from earning $4,000 a year and owing $6,000 to $175,000 in a year. Now, you might wonder, how did you do that? I did it cleaning floors. I started cleaning one office. In less than 5 years, we were cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England. Income shot up over $1 million. Now, I have been raised with much the same idea that you've probably been raised with. If you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I realized that was not true because I was earning a lot of money and I knew I wasn't really smart. I was also raised with the idea that if you're going to build a business, you're going to have a lot of formal education, a lot of business experience. I had 2 months high school. I had no business experience. And here I was heading up a pretty good-sized company, doing quite a few $1 million a year. So I started to question a whole lot of things. And I wanted to know, why was I winning? And I couldn't find anybody that could tell me. I did not buy into the idea that there was some emotional or capricious God that looked down and said, okay, Bob, you're next. I just couldn't. I couldn't buy that. And I couldn't go along with the idea that I was lucky because I'd worked pretty hard. But you know, a lot of people were cleaning floors. They hadn't done what I did. A lot of people had read this book and they hadn't done what I did. And so I made up my mind I was going to find out what the heck happened. And because that's what I was looking for, that's exactly what I found. No, I eventually left my own company and I went to Chicago and I went to work with Earl Nightingale, who was a mentee of Napoleon Hill's. Napoleon Hill got it from Carnegie. Carnegie gave it to Hill. Hill gave it to Nightingale. And I went to work with Nightingale and he gave it to me. And I have been fortunate enough to study with some of the most brilliant people in the world. And I've studied the mind. You see,
as we point out in the brochure that you have, most of us approach this the wrong way. We're attempting to change behavioral patterns or change habits. And at best, we end up with a result after a fair amount of effort that is temporary at the best. If we are going to change the results in our life, we have to ignite change at the level change was created in the first place, or our results were created in the first place. The program that we're presenting to you here is a phenomenal program. It will show you how to change anything. Now here's the point. This is a 6-month program. You work at this every day, not for a long time, but you work at it every day. You'll see in the brochure where we talk about strategic repetition. We have been programmed. We're programmed genetically, that's why we look like our relatives, and then we're programmed in our little life when we're very small. If we're born into a family that's bilingual, we will grow up with a couple of languages. I have associates in the Far East where their children have 4 and 5 languages. Where I came from, we had 1. I'm still struggling with that same 1. But I have found that anyone can change anything if they follow certain laws. I have mentioned on numerous occasions that the psychology thinking into results has been built on is exactly the same psychology that the NASA program is built on to put people on the moon. Dr. Werner von Braun said that the natural laws of this universe are so precise that we have no difficulty building spaceships, sending people to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Well, our life is governed by these laws. You see, winning is a natural thing. The fact that most people don't do it is another thing. Do you know that 1% of our population earn about 97% of all the money that's being earned? You will find students in school that are not doing well, and they can change it like that as they get into this program, because your children, if you have children, they can study this program as well. This is something for the whole family. The information is generic. It's universal laws, and it applies to everything. So it really doesn't matter what you want to change. This program is going to help you do it. Because you see, the program is about you. It's not about what you're doing, it's about you. And it's going to help you understand why you're doing what you're doing. I remember when I was a little boy, my mother would say to me, "Bob, why'd you do that?" And I'd say, "I don't know." And she said, "What do you mean you don't know? You know better." I'd say, "I know." "Well, why are you doing it?" "I don't know." I'm in the Navy, every commanding officer, "Proctor, why'd you do that?" "I don't know, sir." They say, "What do you mean you don't know? You know better." "I know." "Well, why are you doing it?" "I don't know." That's the way it is all through life. Most people are doing things, they don't want to do them, it's giving them results they don't want, and they do it anyway. Let me ask you a question. Are your results a lot better today than they were a year ago, or are your results much the same today as they were a year ago? See, of all the people we surveyed, the thousands of people, the 92% that wanted more out of life, a high percentage of them said that their results were much the same year after year. Well, if that's true with you, you're going to love this because we're going to show you how to change it. Now, when you look at the investment here, understand this. It's about the price of a good meal once a week. And you may talk about the time. I don't have the time, I don't have the money. You're going to spend the time and the money anyway. We all get exactly the same amount of time. I want to suggest that you listen very closely to the presentation you're about to hear. And I want you to look at the information that's in this brochure. Look at it very carefully. Because what you're getting is what I have winnowed out of this over 50 years. I have studied this for 50 years. Napoleon Hill spent his entire life putting this together. And the man that introduced it to me, he said, "Bob, it would be a prudent move on your part if you spent the rest of your life practicing what he has put together." And that's exactly what I've done. My life has been a marvelous experience. I'll be 79 on my next birthday. I've got more energy than a lot of people 20 or 30 now. It's helped me earn millions of dollars. I live in a healthy body. I have wonderful friends. I have business associates all over the world. It's not an accident. It's how I designed it. Do you know that you can take your pen and sit down and write out exactly what you want? And this program is going to show you how to get it. And one day when we meet, and we will very likely meet, I want you to tell me what you thought of when you first looked at this. And then 6 months later, because you're going to need a telescope to look back
you were at when you started. 6 months can make a phenomenal difference. 6 months from now, you study this every day with us. I guarantee your life will be so different. Only a short period of time every morning and every night, and like that, your life will change. We're going to help you draw the very best out of yourself. You see, you do have deep reservoirs of talent and ability within, and you can bring them to the surface. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say here, and I want you to listen very closely to the presentation you're about to hear. This is Bob Proctor.